Hello everybody, I'm back again. So this is our third video on our channel. In this third video, I'm gonna start a new series which is gonna be on endgames. As endgames are very important part of the game of chess, so we should know them. So the goal for this series would be to complete this 100 basic endgames. You must know book entirely and take each diagram and explain each diagram. Obviously this series is going to be very long, and I'm going to discuss 7 diagrams in this particular video, and then we will go slowly towards 100. So this would be the entire goal of the series, to complete 100 basic end games and make you improve in end games. So let's just start and see the first diagram. So as you can see, this is a very common pattern in end game: the pawn race, the race between king and a pawn. Okay, this is very common pattern. The thing we usually do is c5 and king g7 and c6. This is okay, this is actually fine, but problem is it will take a lot of time, and it is rather simple, but it will make it complicated in shorter time format. That's why there is a small trick to it which will help you find who will win this race. The rule is known as rule of the square. We form square like this. Okay, this is the square. Now if king is outside the square, it would be considered as a pawn victory, like pawn will promote, obviously. But another thing we can do also is, like, we can form a diagonal to, like, kind of imagine this square very easily. Like, we form this diagonal and we make this wall, and we will just see like whether this king is in time, like inside the square or outside the square. For example, I will just show you, like here, and you can see king was one square away from the square of the pawn, and king is one tempo away from grabbing the pawn. Means this trick does work, and it's very legitimate and very simple trick, and it requires very less effort. So this was the first critical diagram, and now in the second diagram we're gonna talk about uh like the other assumption of this rule. Okay, in that case, like, look at this. Now here it seems like king is inside the square, but this is an exception to this rule. Like, at the start of the game, the pawn has ability. In the start of the, like, on A2 rank, the pawn has ability to move 2 squares. In this case, yeah, it is has the ability to move 2 squares. That's why the rule of the square will change. Now we will imagine the pawn to be here. Like, we won't imagine the pawn here. We will imagine the pawn over here, like 1 square away from the pawn. And then you form a diagonal, and then you form this square. Okay, now you have formed the sphere, and now you will see. For example, another thing I want to confirm, like, but let's say we play a3 instead of a4. Now you can see king is inside the square. The king is inside the square. You can see it. King is inside the square. Look at this. Now king is inside the square, and if we play 2 squares, now king is not inside the square. Like, king will try to come over here, but it would be one tempo away. Okay, it was kind of a exception. Like, you should always remember, when your pawn is on second rank and it has ability to move 2 squares, always imagine the rule of the square on the third rank. Like, always imagine your pawn over the third rank and then form a square. Okay, that's it. This was very simple exception. Now let's go move on to the next diagram. Now this diagram is about body check. In English, it is known as body check, and in Danish, it is known as kind of giving the opponent a shoulder. Like, shoulder yani means like tucking the king away from your pawn. Like in this case, you can see our pawn is trying to promote, but if you try straight away, for example, he will come closer, and we go here, and he goes here, and I go here and here. Like he will come in front of the pawn and take the opposition, and do not allow our pawn to be promoted. So for that reason, you might think this is a draw, but it's not a draw because we can get help from our king, this king. Now we know the idea of the opponent is to come in front of the pawn. So we will stop it. And in English, it is known as body check. Why it's known as a body check? Body check means like it's kind of like making this square a checking square. Means this is illegal. Now the black king cannot come over this square. So that's why it's known as body check. Okay. And in Danish, it is not the shoulder, means giving a shoulder. Like is kicking, like kind of like we can use the term no entry or kicking away the enemy king. Now the black idea was to come over here, maybe in front of the pawn, and but white king tucks him away. Like he just controls this square where he wants to come, and that's it. That's what he want. This is diagram about. For example, if he comes try to come down, and seriously trying to stop the pawn, but he's not in time. Use in every single case, usually it is not in time. Like here, 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 it is not in time, and we will promote. This is about just shouldering and not allowing the king to come in front of our pawn. Okay, so in next example, it is um, almost the same diagram, but it is for illustration sake. For example, this and this. Like this is just for illustration. Like for example, you get this kind of position. Like for example, you think your king is over here and their king is over here. Then you have to reach this position which I'm showing right now, and then after this, and we reach this diagram which I was talking about. Okay, we will reach the third diagram, and after you reach third diagram, they might try to like go down, and here you should always check, make sure that king is not in time to stop your pawn. For example, a4, here, here, here. I would always like to check this, whether the king is catching our pawn. So that's it. Means diagram number 3 and diagram number 4 are interconnected. You have to remember this diagram. Let's go to the diagram number 5. Okay, diagram number 5. It is about a very good concept, and it is and this position is from black's perspective. Okay, so in this position wants to show like how can we draw, if we have opposition. For example, in this case it's black to move, and after king moves here, now we make this move, and king will try to come over here, but we have opposition, like we will come in front of the pawn. We can also say we are in front of the pawn, and king has this king would not have ability to control these key squares like e8 and e7. We can also put it this like this. Okay, for example, now we go down and he goes here, and if we go here, then he has check, and then he gets the control over this e8 square, the promotion square, but we don't want to allow that. That's why we will play king d8, taking the opposition. Okay, we take the opposition. Now if he moves away, and now we got front of the pawn, we not allowed the white king to gain this e7 and e8 square. That's it. So this next one is about opposition. A person who has opposition will win in these type of pawn endings. For example, in this case, the king a6 is played, taking the opposition. Now, what is opposition? Opposition is one square space between the two kings. Okay, for example, if it's black to move, and now the black is one who have to make moves, then black will lose the opposition. And if in this case, if in this scenario, for example, let me skip the turn, and it's like, let me skip the turn, like here. Now, in this case, now black has the opposition. Now if we go here, here's the opposition. Now I will just come opposite to you, and it's white to move. Now white loses the opposition. So it's basically a very basic and genuine concept. Opposition is situation where like the person who loses opposition is the person who has to move. Like in this case, black has to move, so he loses the opposition. The white played here, and after this move, we played a very good move, and it's a very good concept. Rather, c7. c7 is the putting the king into the Zuswang. For example, if in this case black was not forced to move, and he can put the king forever there, it would be a draw. But in this case, the black is forced to move. It's chess. In chess, you are forced to move. So you have to go away, and then we gain this key square, like promotion square. And black cannot do anything, and queen will promote it. So these were the critical diagrams. Like we discussed almost 5 diagrams, which were very critical one. And I will like make you memorize each and every diagram. This was about rule of the square, which we discussed, and this was actually like exception to that rule. Okay, and this one is about shouldering, or giving a body check, or kind of tucking the king away from the key squares of the pawn. Okay, and this one is totally about that same diagram, but we have to reach that dream position, and how we reach that dream position, like this. Okay, like this, and we reach this dream position. And this one is about a drawing technique, which involves opposition. The person who has opposition will uh, win or draw. Okay, the result will depend on the opposition in this type of ending. And I also illustrated it by this diagram. For example, a6 and then king here, and then we have the opposition, and then I told another thing, this one, and king here, and we are just closing down the video. Hope you enjoyed these 5 diagrams, and I will come up with more diagrams in next episode. So till then, take care and goodbye.